Hello guys, today I'm going to share an interesting story which will pique your interest. In the heart of a location that had tragically become a mass grave for countless individuals, our story unfolds. Many lives were sacrificed in the relentless pursuit of victory in an insurmountable war. Among the survivors, their sole aspiration was simply to live. In this world, there seemed to be no purpose beyond this primal instinct. Enduring unimaginable hardships, one individual pressed on, emerging as the central protagonist of our tale. He strove toward the source of an intense radiant light. He believed that after 98 previous failed attempts to complete the mission, he might finally reach the conclusion of his arduous journey. Upon entering the room, the fearless warrior was confronted by a formidable assembly of guardian golems. He couldn't help but question whether this was, in fact, the 20th mission. Behind this imposing line of golems, a shadowy passageway led our main character to wonder if these sentinels were guarding the path to something more significant. With determination in his eyes, our protagonist initiated the summoning of his weapon. He knew that the gleaming guardian golems wouldn't permit his passage to the room without a challenge. As he summoned his weapon, a crimson scythe materialized in his hands. The moment the guardians beheld the scythe, their eyes radiated with newfound intensity, as if they had been awakened from a dormant state. These formidable beings commenced their march toward our hero, brandishing their colossal weapons with a purpose. Their coordinated assault began as they sought to strike him down. Fortunately, our main character's agility served him well, enabling him to evade the devastating blows with nimble movements. This proved to be the perfect moment for a counterattack. Our hero, with unwavering determination, uttered the incantation, "Seal of Death." Instantly, a magical circle bearing a grim skull symbol materialized directly above the guardian golem. Empowered by this ominous seal, our protagonist cloaked himself in a fiery dark aura, his newfound swiftness eclipsing that of the guardian golems. Utilizing this surging speed, he launched a decisive blow to secure victory. The attack he delivered left an enormous gaping fissure on the colossal guardian's body. After this successful strike, our hero strategically put some distance between himself and his opponent, a satisfied smile gracing his face. He understood that his plan had unfolded flawlessly. Hitting an adversary marked with the seal of death's skill triggered a notable response, enhancing the damage inflicted by an astonishing 100%. With one of the guardian golems finally vanquished, our hero knew he was on the right path. The remaining sentinels charged menacingly toward our protagonist. In the face of these colossal monsters, he appeared as inconsequential as a mere insect. Yet intimidation did not deter him. Suspended midair, our hero imbued his weapon with a sinister dark aura, intended to counter the holy beings, a skill known as the Night of Death. Gradually, the guardian golems found themselves enveloped in an all-encompassing shroud of darkness. The radiant light that once bathed the temple was devoured by this inky veil, rendering the holy beings blind to their surroundings. Seizing the opportunity, our protagonist unleashed a devastating slash, an attack that generated an immense surge of energy, capable of erasing an entire horde of monsters in an instant. Despite landing his attack, our hero remained composed, but it became evident that even his large-scale assault had left the guardian golems completely unscathed. The battle was far from over. The holy beings charged arrows infused with pure ice and fire energy, launching them with incredible precision towards our protagonist. These arrows came perilously close to grazing him, each strike threatening annihilation. Faced with this relentless barrage, our hero realized that he needed to further elevate his speed to evade the impending danger. With unwavering determination, he leaped directly into the path of the charging guardian golems, meeting them head-on. Our protagonist's speed reached godly levels, enabling him to create afterimages that confounded the golems. In response, one of the golems equipped multiple arrows into its bow, releasing them with such incredible speed that they exceeded the very bounds of light, striking down nearly all the illusions our hero had conjured in the midst of the dire and intense confrontation. Our hero maintained his composure and even had the audacity to smile and taunt the guardian golem, asserting that it would take more than their attacks to hit him. However, his smug expression quickly faded as a brilliant light materialized beneath him. Our protagonist realized that an unexpected magic seal on the ground had triggered a trap, summoning a colossal mass of ice that ensnared him, immobilizing him completely. The exceptional speed he had bragged about just moments ago had vanished. Determined to break free, he exerted his utmost effort, gradually causing the ice to exhibit cracks while he struggled to escape. The guardian golems drew near the trapped hero, one of them wielding a massive spear, prepared to unleash a devastating strike. The ice remained unyielding, but the cracks became more pronounced. Then, our hero's eyes transformed into a deep crimson hue as he activated another skill, Moonlight Destruction. A radiant red light sliced through the ice wall that had entrapped him, setting him free. The attack not only liberated our hero but also struck the guardian golem positioned before him, revealing the true power he had kept in reserve. Activating this skill also triggered a transformation and enhancement of his equipment. He confessed that the situation had brought him perilously close to failing the mission. Having expended considerable time and effort battling the guardian golems, our protagonist made the critical decision to conclude the encounter with a single decisive blow. The dark and ominous aura surrounding his scythe grew increasingly aggressive, signaling the impending climax of the confrontation. Recognizing that the situation was about to spiral out of control, the guardian golems prepared their most potent attacks. Seals, arrows imbued with formidable magic, and physical weapons charged with powerful energies were all readied in response. Our hero executed a powerful forward stomp, amassing an immense force to bolster the impending strike of his scythe. Infused with an overwhelming dark force, our hero unleashed his Moonlight Destruction skill once more. However, this time, the potent aura surrounding him was enhanced by another skill, the Red Moon. The resulting slash was akin to the one that had shattered the ice but had a significantly larger area of effect. The colossal beings that had once dominated the area were cleaved through like soft butter, their lifeless bodies tumbling to the ground. Our protagonist touched down, relieved to see that these formidable adversaries were finally vanquished. With the guardians defeated, he advanced toward the room they had been guarding, delving deeper into this mysterious place. An odd sensation washed over him, prompting him to assess his surroundings, which appeared to be a new temple, yet it seemed eerily empty. Uncertain of his next course of action, he decided to approach the door at the far end. As he drew nearer, the magic circle drawn just outside the door began to react with resolve. Our hero positioned himself in the center of the circle, eager to discover what would transpire next. As our hero waited, a wistful smile played upon his lips, contemplating whether this might finally be the run that sees him complete the game on his 99th attempt. However, his optimism quickly crumbled as a notification appeared, revealing that only 1 out of 5 players were standing on the magic circle. The cruel reality dawned on him. To enter the boss room, a full party of 5 players was required. In that moment, all the hardships and sacrifices he had endured felt like they were slipping into oblivion. The notification informed him that failure to meet this requirement would result in his death. A golden light enveloped him, trapping him within a barrier. His frantic efforts to escape proved futile. In his last moments, he cursed the absurdity of this final requirement, but it was all in vain. His body began to disintegrate, and he could only wonder if this was truly the end. His expression shifted as he grasped that this was indeed the conclusion. The final second counted down, and the game notified him of his death. However, in the midst of despair, an item called the Rune of Regression was activated. This last surviving hero would be sent back to the time before the first mission began, marking the 100th time the rune had been used. As a result, the rune of regression would now disappear, but our protagonist would embark on his 100th regression, starting over once more. The scene shifts in front of a Korean palace located in the heart of the city. It's the last day of the year, and a large crowd has gathered to celebrate the countdown to the new year. As the clock ticks down to the last 5 seconds of the year, something extraordinary happens. One person in the crowd emits a bright blue aura around his body, and it's clear that he's feeling a profound sense of discomfort. This person looks at his hands, realizing that he has been transported back to a previous point in his life. His hands tremble as he comprehends that he has returned to the moment just before humanity was swept away by a fateful game. He recalls that in his previous life, he had come remarkably close to clearing the game, having reached the 20th round. His deepest desire now is to have the power to stop time, for there are only 2 seconds left before disaster strikes their lives. He also remembers the information the system presented to him right after dying in his previous life. This moment marks his 100th use of the rune of regression, and it has now reached its limit. As the last second of the year approaches, the main character understands that this may be his final chance for regression, and he's determined to complete the game. Our protagonist, prepared for what was about to transpire, contemplated the last requirement he couldn't fulfill in the 20th round of the game. It was essential to bring 4 more people with him, and he began to assess his surroundings, considering who would be the most suitable individuals for these roles. Several minutes before the countdown to the new year, another individual was introduced. This person, along with his friends, was in the midst of celebrating the new year in the heart of the city. As they waited, one of his friends wondered aloud about their plans after graduation. The person known as Youngmin responded with a smile, stating his intention to become a gangster. Youngmin's friends were taken aback by his response, believing it to be a joke. But Youngmin remained resolute, asserting that people only live once, and he wanted to pursue what he desired. His friends, feeling uneasy about his declaration, began to distance themselves from him, realizing that being associated with a gangster was far from an ideal situation. The bald guy continued the conversation, asking Youngmin about his personal shuttle after graduation. He painted a somewhat gloomy picture of a poor guy in his mind. In response, Youngmin laughed heartily, revealing his intention to keep the shuttle even after graduation. His friends joined in the laughter, finding the idea hilarious. One of them added that he should continue playing with that guy for as long as he wanted. As they bantered about the shuttle, one of Youngmin's friends mentioned seeing the person they were discussing. This happened just as our protagonist's body was enveloped in a bright light, marking the moment he regressed back to his 100th chance. Youngmin smiled and confirmed his friend's observation. However, as he looked at the person he had bullied throughout their high school days, something felt different. This individual's confident demeanor, mature appearance, and unflinching stare were unlike the person Youngmin had known. Our protagonist even dared to confront Youngmin, commenting on how different he was from his usual self. Youngmin found himself getting annoyed, as this was the first time our protagonist had reacted in such a manner. He was on the verge of teaching him a lesson, but his friends intervened, reminding him that it was the first day of the year, and there would be many opportunities in the future. Their words made Youngmin decide to let our protagonist off the hook for the day. The 4 friends continued celebrating, reveling in the fact that they were now adults. They exchanged New Year's greetings with each other. However, their celebration was interrupted by a mysterious voice proclaiming that humans were interesting. The voice noted that humans were celebrating the new year without even understanding the situation they were in. The source of the voice soon became apparent as a majestic figure with white wings and a white dress appeared. This being, resembling an angel, was enveloped in a bright light, and her voice had a soothing effect. She smiled as she observed the humans, finding their behavior quite amusing. She likened humans to monkeys inside their cages. The people gathered in the city center were captivated by the angel's appearance, finding her incredibly beautiful. This was true for everyone except our protagonist, who remained focused on the angel and noted her arrival. Despite having experienced this scenario 99 times before, he still despised this familiar scene. The angel struggled to hold back her laughter and asserted that all of them were trash for being captivated by her appearance. The angel continued, asserting that the humans shouldn't waste their time thinking about such useless things because she had no intention of being with them for long. Her fascination and smile only grew as she considered that since the humans could clearly see her, they should be able to hear her as well. One of the individuals among the group, growing tired of the angel's laughter, shouted and demanded to know her identity. He even mistook her for someone cosplaying as an angel. While that person was complaining, our protagonist remained silent. However, the angel's demeanor suddenly changed. Her eyes turned red, and her face took on a sinister look. She commented that this scene was truly annoying. Something inexplicable then happened to the person who had been shouting at her just seconds earlier. His head suddenly exploded. The individual standing beside him was splattered with blood, and his body trembled in shock. It took a moment for those present to comprehend what had occurred, and a loud scream echoed through the area. Yongmin was among the onlookers who witnessed this horrifying event and couldn't fathom what had just transpired. The angel spoke again, but her sweet voice had disappeared. She issued a warning to the humans, insisting they should never dare to speak informally to her, and that they had no right to ask questions. They were also told never to act arrogantly in her presence, or they would meet the same fate as the previous individual. The angel continued her speech, emphasizing the idea that humanity now belonged to an inferior race. Our protagonist sighed, knowing what was coming as the angel began to explain why these things were happening to them. With an even brighter smile and vibe, the angel informed everyone that they would be playing a game for the next 20 rounds. On the first of every month, their souls would be transported to a new dimension to participate in the game. She stressed that this was the only thing humans would do for the foreseeable future. Their lives would revolve around completing the given quests. If they managed to complete all the quests, they would receive rewards and be returned to the real world. This revelation left some people confused, thinking that their lives might be spared once they completed the quests. The angel, detecting their thoughts, chuckled and informed them that even if they managed to complete the quests, not everyone would have the luxury to survive. As the angel explained the mechanics of only half of them being allowed to survive, our protagonist remained calm. However, the people around him felt a deep sense of impending doom, realizing that their lives were hanging in the balance. The angel continued her speech, assuring the humans that they shouldn't worry because she wouldn't take all of them. Our protagonist sighed, having heard this speech 99 times already. He couldn't have imagined playing the same game repeatedly. The angel then explained that only humans aged between 15 and 29 from around the world would participate. Upon hearing this condition, an elderly man smiled, feeling safe. This irked those in the age group included in the game, and they felt it was pouring oil on the fire. Yongmin stepped in to stop the argument, reminding them not to create a ruckus or end up like the man who died. The angel's wings spread out, and she announced that they should now start. She revealed that there would be around 1.9 billion participants in the game. Her excitement was evident as she informed the humans that the explanation was over, and they should proceed into the game. The whole area was then enveloped in white light, and everything vanished, except for the bodies of the participants, including our protagonist. The angel revealed that the participants had entered a place called individual spaces, and in this place, they were the only ones who could see their avatars. She instructed everyone to shape their avatars in preparation for the soul transfer. This phase resembled how players customized their characters for the game, and they only had one chance to do so. Our protagonist decided to choose the same avatar he had in his previous regression, with black hair, crimson red eyes, and a taller build. His chosen nickname in the game was Black Scythe. This marked his 100th time inside the game, and he felt like this avatar was his real body because it was consistent with his previous regressions. He didn't need to adjust to it. As for the other participants, they were also transported into the new world with their customized avatars, and some of them were amazed at how they had designed themselves. Our protagonist observed how some of the participants had intentionally made their avatars good-looking, but he knew that this was a mistake. In this world, the strong preyed on the weak, and having a noticeable appearance could make someone an easier target. Mistakes like this were costly because if someone died in the game, they would die in real life. Black Scythe had expected that Hung Yongmin would try to make himself appear strong and intimidating in the game. When all the players were transported to this new world, the angel appeared once again and greeted them. She noticed how attached the participants had become to their new appearances and expressed excitement about how these attractive faces would change when they experienced fear and despair. Around 1.8 million people were participating in the game, although not all of them were visible at the moment. The angel explained that there were other angels overseeing different rounds of the game. She then started providing more information about the game. Players could access a status window by thinking about it, and she showed an example of Black Scythe's status window. Unfortunately, all of his max stats from his previous lives were gone, and he sighed at the fresh start. The angel asked if everyone had seen their status windows and noted that this was a reminder of how trashy they were. She emphasized that to survive until the end and clear all 20 rounds, they needed to get stronger. The reward for achieving this feat would be anything they could wish for, along with exemption from future games. The angel also revealed that she had prepared something for everyone. Players accessed their inventories and found a notable item, a random rune. The angel explained that this rune could be used even if they were just at level 1. And it was the only item given to them in the beginning. Players could consume the rune by thinking of the word use in their minds. This marked the beginning of their journey in the game. Yongmin was the first to use the rune and was amazed by what he received. The angel laughed as she noticed that some players were not pleased with their rune rewards, but she explained that they had to accept it as their luck. After explaining the runes, she signaled the start of the real game. Light particles began to materialize throughout the area, and players received a notification about their first mission, which was expected at the beginning of the game. Their mission was to kill 100 goblins each. The angel emphasized that only half of the participants worldwide would be allowed to survive after this round. Shortly after, the first goblin was summoned, and the players began to realize that this was much like a virtual reality game. The angel warned everyone not to get too excited, as she had summoned a large number of goblins at once. The area was quickly filling up with goblins, and the calm expressions on the participants' faces began to fade. Panic set in as they saw the overwhelming number of goblins approaching them. With a sinister expression and an ominous aura, the angel announced a battle between 10,000 humans and 50,000 goblins, a fight to the death. As the goblins started to advance, our protagonist, Black Scythe, stepped forward fearlessly, leaving the others behind in wonder. As the goblins closed in, Black Scythe's calm expression shifted to a murderous look, and he dashed towards the goblin horde, launching a powerful kick that sent the first goblin's body flying several meters away. His intention was to make a strong impression on the others and demonstrate his power. Our protagonist picked up the dagger that one of the defeated goblins had been holding. He was determined to prove his strength to the others and capture the attention of the angel overseeing their group. As he continued his performance, he slashed through 2 more goblins, leaving a strong impression on the other players. However, some players became complacent, assuming that these goblins were weak and that they could easily defeat them. This false sense of security led to one player being taken down by a goblin's attack, demonstrating that these so-called weakest mobs were still a formidable threat. The harsh reality of their situation finally sank in, dispelling any illusions that this was just a game. Fear gripped the participants as they faced the relentless goblin horde. Survival became the sole thought on their minds. People fled in all directions, seeking safety from the relentless onslaught. However, they soon realized that escape was impossible. There was an invisible barrier preventing them from leaving this dimension. They were trapped in a life-and-death struggle with the goblins, and there was no way out. This dire situation served as a stark wake-up call for the modern individuals who had grown complacent due to the conveniences of technology. Their instincts for survival and combat, which had become almost non-existent in their comfortable lives, were now pushed to the forefront as they fought for their lives. In the midst of this fierce struggle, some participants hesitated to take their first kill. However, second-guessing themselves in this brutal game proved to be fatal, as it provided the goblins with an opportunity to launch a counterattack. Minutes passed, and while some humans fought valiantly, they still found themselves in a dire situation. Amidst the chaos, the angel watched the battle with a sense of amusement. She commented that goblins, despite their small size, posed a formidable challenge for players due to their sheer numbers and their daggers. Many participants were clearly struggling. However, one individual caught the angel's attention, Black Scythe. She was curious about this particular human and decided to check his progress. To her surprise, Black Scythe had already taken down 70 goblins, demonstrating a remarkable level of combat proficiency. The angel was irked by the fact that the system only provided her with limited information about Black Scythe's progress, but she decided to let it go. She didn't expect someone of her status to be particularly interested in watching over the participants. The battle against the goblins raged on, and for each goblin defeated, players gained experience points and gold, which contributed to their leveling up. As the chaos continued, our protagonist, Black Scythe, demonstrated remarkable combat skills. He had already taken down 75 goblins and continued to display his prowess, dodging the goblins' attacks and swiftly dispatching them with his dagger. The sight of Black Scythe's bloodied hands and his relentless onslaught began to intimidate the goblins. They hesitated to approach him, and he continued to hunt them down. Sensing the goblins' reluctance to engage him, he saw an opportunity to take a brief respite from the battle. Black Scythe took a moment to check his status window and found that he had reached level 4. He also had 6 extra stat points to allocate. Deciding to focus on agility, he allocated all the points to this stat, as it would improve his dodge rate, attack speed, and movement speed. For him, agility was the most crucial stat at this stage of the game. Despite his progress and the increasing number of goblin kills, the remaining goblins were hesitant to engage with him. Black Scythe tried provoking them, but it had no effect. Frustrated, he realized he had no choice but to continue taking them down one by one. Black Scythe swiftly moved across the group of goblins to retrieve the dagger he had thrown earlier. In a matter of seconds he had closed the distance and, with a single powerful round slash, cleaved through the goblins, killing them all. This decisive action not only eliminated the goblins, but also allowed him to level up once more. An array of golden light surrounded Black Scythe, indicating that he had completed the first mission. He was pleased with how the first round had gone, as it was usually straightforward. He knew that putting in the extra effort to finish the mission quickly would grab the angel's attention. The system congratulated him for being the first in their zone to complete the quest, and noted that he had finished in 10 minutes and 21 seconds, securing the top rank in the zone once again. Black Scythe's decision to finish the missions quickly and secure the top ranks had paid off. He received rewards for being the rank 1 player in his zone, and also for being the first across all zones. The first reward he decided to use was the weapon coupon. Upon using it, he was presented with a list of rare weapons to choose from. Even though these weapons were considered low-ranked, Black Scythe was grateful for the advantage they would provide him in the early stages of the game. He selected the stiletto, a dagger known to be one of the best choices for beginners. It had an attack power of 15 and provided an additional agility stat boost, which suited his playstyle perfectly. Black Scythe examined the rewards he had obtained, and he decided to use the weapon coupon right away, selecting the stiletto. This dagger had a decent attack power and an agility stat boost, making it a suitable choice for his character. He also noticed a new title, Last Time Regressor, which he had not seen in his previous 99 attempts. The title seemed to be connected to his use of the Rune of Regression, the item that had brought him to this point. It hinted at the fact that this was his last opportunity to complete the game, his 100th regression. As he continued to check his status and rewards, other players were still battling the goblins, trying to complete the mission and survive in this dangerous new world. Black Scythe consumed the Rune of Regression, and he could sense that this was indeed his 100th regression. The rune imprinted this fact on his body. He also received the title of Last Time Regressor, a superordinate concept of runes, and it granted him the ability to stay in a soul form for 1 minute. This was a unique and powerful skill, as it allowed him to be resurrected at any desired point in time with his health fully restored. The resurrection skill provided by the title was even more potent than the typical priest skill, which could only restore up to 30% of health. Black Scythe recognized the value of this skill, and he believed that having it at his disposal would be a significant advantage as he aimed to clear the game this time. It was a trump card that could save him from dire situations. Black Scythe decided to keep the unique and rare title, Last Time Regressor, as a private setting to prevent other players or entities from seeing this information. He recognized the value of this one-of-a-kind title and wanted to keep it under wraps to maintain an advantage. As he awaited the arrival of other players who had completed the mission, Black Scythe also kept an eye out for Youngmin. He noticed that Youngmin was still holding on and believed that he would make it through this round as well. The angel, watching the proceedings with amusement, smirked at the battlefield's current state. It seemed that the number of goblins had significantly decreased as more and more participants managed to kill 100 of them. The challenge was intense, but many were rising to the occasion. The participants had lost the thrill of fighting a horde of monsters, and the angel acknowledged her mistake, promising to make it more enjoyable for them again. However, her ironic words left the survivors anxious because they sensed trouble. As the bodies of the deceased players began to fade away, more survivors noticed this phenomenon and became concerned. They wondered why it was happening. Meanwhile, another bright light appeared, but this time, it didn't signify salvation. Another horde of goblins surged toward the players, who were already exhausted from the previous batch. The angel's maniacal expression returned as she informed them that she had just summoned another 50,000 goblins for the humans to contend with. The survivors' faces were now filled with fear, knowing that they were in for another intense battle. As the remaining players had no other choice but to confront the goblins, the once peaceful open field turned into a gruesome battlefield. The goblins fulfilled their roles in the mission, and the players fought fiercely to survive. Over time, more and more humans managed to pass the mission. Youngmin, on the other hand, was shown using other people as shields against the goblin attacks. In such desperate times, people resorted to desperate measures to survive. An additional 1,000 participants successfully passed the mission. All the while, Black had just sat there, closed his eyes, and appeared to be fed up with the ongoing violence and loss of life. This was his 100th time playing the game, and he had become somewhat desensitized to the grim scene. Participants who had already passed were not allowed to assist those still taking on the mission. As the angel continued to watch this like some form of entertainment, a few moments passed, and Blackie opened his eyes. A notification informed them that 5,143 participants had successfully cleared the mission. However, there were also some unlucky survivors who hadn't managed to kill 1,000 goblins. These survivors wondered where all the monsters had gone. The angel took everyone's attention as she announced that the quest had been completed. She began to apologize to the unlucky ones, but she clarified that what was about to happen next was purely the rules of the game. The bodies of these survivors started fading away, signaling their impending demise. Some of them begged for another chance, as they only needed a few more goblins to kill. Sadly, their pleas fell on deaf ears. The angel then clapped her hands, and the first round of the games concluded. The angel congratulated the surviving participants, telling them to be happy because they had passed. She chuckled as she offered her congratulations and wished them luck in the next mission. However, before the players could leave, the results of the mission were displayed. Black Scythe, our protagonist, had achieved first place. The system announced his achievement, and he received an additional 1,000 gold as a reward. He noticed that more eyes were now wary of his presence, which was part of his plan to assert his dominance. The angel expressed her surprise at having the top-ranked player in her zone, implying that she hadn't expected it. With the first mission completed, the participants now awaited the next challenge in the ongoing game. Black Scythe, our protagonist, decided to tease the angel and asked her if she could see the rune he received by looking at his status window. The angel panicked and pretended that she could indeed see his rune. However, Black Scythe saw through her lie and didn't answer her questions. To shift the conversation, Black Scythe got the angel's attention and asked her for a favor. It seemed he was planning to use the situation to his advantage and make a request of the angel. Black Scythe, showing no signs of intimidation, held his head high and expressed his dissatisfaction with the rewards he received for achieving first place in the mission. He boldly stated that the rewards were too stingy. This surprising statement shocked those around him, as they didn't expect someone to challenge the merciless angel by asking for more rewards. The angel's mood soured even more as she asked Black Scythe to repeat what he had just said. But this didn't intimidate Black Scythe in the least. He confidently reiterated his request for better rewards, and his smug attitude was starting to irritate the angel. Amidst the panic and chaos, Black Scythe and the angel locked eyes, seemingly unperturbed by the turmoil around them. The angel, however, couldn't believe that a mere human, who had just ranked first in the mission, was daring to make demands. Her frustration grew, and she contemplated using her divine authority to eliminate Black Scythe, but she realized that she had already used that power earlier, making it unavailable to her now. An alternative idea crossed the angel's mind. She slowly approached Black Scythe, walking on the ground, and responded to his demand. She explained that usually such requests would be denied, but she agreed to consider it under the condition that they speak in private. This proposition caught Black Scythe's attention, and it seemed that he had intrigued the angel. As they walked further away from the other participants, some of them complimented Black Scythe on his successful negotiation with the angel, expressing curiosity about what kind of rewards he might secure next. Among those watching Black Scythe was Yongmin, who couldn't understand the situation and returned Black Scythe's gaze, feeling somewhat bewildered. Black Scythe continued walking with a grin on his face, well ahead of the other participants. He and the angel had now entered a forest, and the angel asked Black Scythe to walk closer to her, stating that she was tired of checking if he was following. In her thoughts, she was already belittling humanity, considering them greedy and stupid, and she believed that they needed to be scolded to understand things. As they continued walking, the angel contemplated her inability to do anything about the rewards, as she was not the one who set them. She believed that Black Scythe had become too greedy, and she was determined to teach him a lesson. The angel had a plan to kill Black Scythe behind a nearby rock, where the system couldn't detect them. She understood that there would be consequences if the higher-ups found out that she had killed a participant for personal reasons. However, her annoyance had pushed her to the point of taking action. To ensure the success of her plan, she decided to isolate Black Scythe to eliminate any potential witnesses. With a maniacal smile on her face, the angel turned around to check on Black Scythe, preparing for the next phase of her plan. Black Scythe, fed up with the angel's attitude and manipulation, didn't hesitate to respond with a powerful punch directly to her face. He showed that he wouldn't tolerate her arrogance or threats. This was a surprising turn of events, and it marked a decisive victory for him. In this moment, Black Scythe's actions asserted that even in a game where powerful beings held authority, he wouldn't be pushed around. In a moment of realization, the angel recognized that her perceived invincibility was shattered when a human dared to harm her. Her expression turned grim as she observed the golden blood flowing from her, questioning how a human could have the audacity to lay hands on her divine form. Prepared to retaliate, she turned around, only to find no one behind her. In that split second, Black Scythe appeared, catching the angel off guard. Seizing one of her wings, Black induced fear in the angel, who pleaded and screamed in anticipation of the impending pain. Black Scythe, however, showed no mercy, snapping the wings like fragile twigs. The angel, overwhelmed by pain, almost lost consciousness, and the golden blood splattered across the surroundings. Black Scythe, with a cold stare, admonished the angel for being a crybaby and proceeded to grab another wing, inflicting further agony. As Black had commented that she wouldn't be able to escape anymore, he inquired if the pain hurt. The angel, in anguish, affirmed the excruciating sensation, likening it to the loss of a limb. Black Scythe then revealed the chilling fact. In 5 more minutes, the tables would have turned, and it would have been the angel asking these agonizing questions if her plan had succeeded. The narrative unfolds with a cruel display of power and a reversal of roles, emphasizing the merciless nature of Black Scythe's actions. With a sinister smile, Black Scythe dismissed the need for lies, claiming he could discern the truth just by looking at the angel's face. Referring to her as Brielle, Black Scythe left her confused and questioning how he knew her name. Unfazed, Black had brought out the dagger, causing panic in Brielle. The angel desperately denied the claims made against her, insisting that Black Scythe had become insane. However, Black Scythe revealed a hidden dagger behind the wings, asserting that the angel intended to stab him in the back with it. Despite the angel's attempts to talk her way out of the situation, Black Scythe confidently confirmed her true intentions. In an attempt to regain control, Brielle threatened Black Scythe, claiming she could end him by snapping her fingers. However, Black Scythe was well aware that she had already used that skill, rendering her threats empty. Gritting her teeth, Brielle realized she had no other options. Refusing to give up, Brielle warned that other angels would seek revenge for her death. Black Scythe, however, dismissed this claim, knowing angels to be egoists who wouldn't bother with the affairs of others. As the tension heightened, Black Scythe prepared to execute his plan, leaving Brielle with no escape. The angel desperately tried to dissuade Black Scythe, offering reasons why killing her would not benefit him. She claimed that he wouldn't be able to return home and offered to provide him with all the information he needed for missions. However, Black Scythe saw through these attempts, knowing they were untrue. He had already memorized the events and didn't require the information she offered. Despite her final plea, Black Scythe remained resolute. He saw through the manipulation and knew that he could extract any needed information through torture. Without hesitation, Black Scythe thrust the dagger into the angel's chest, defeating her. A system notification confirmed Black Scythe as the first player to defeat an angel. As a reward, he gained the title of the First Angel Slayer and received 2 items: Angel's Blood and the Rune of Slaughterer. He immediately used the rune, doubling all of his stats. Recalling his past regression, Black Scythe remembered the rewards for killing angels and understood the significance of the Rune of Slaughterer, which increased stats by 100% each time a target was killed, with a maximum cap of 100%. Black Scythe smiled as he examined the rewards he had obtained. Each reward was already comparable to a unique item. He knew that other angels would be shocked to discover that he had acquired another rune. However, his expression quickly changed as he realized there was one more crucial reason for killing Briel to obtain an item enveloped in golden light: the angel's blood. The angel's blood was a consumable item that could change the user's class to Reaper. The only requirement was that the player needed to be at least a certain level in the game. Changing classes was a simple process, typically achieved through hunting or fulfilling simple conditions. However, unique classes, like the Reaper, were only given to one player under special circumstances. Unique classes offered significant advantages over regular classes, including bonus stat advancement, runes, skill compositions, and more. Black Scythe was delighted to have everything back, even though the first mission wasn't completed yet. Checking his status window, he remembered he had received a special reward for being ranked first in all the zones. Among the choices available, he selected the 3 times experience buff, which would automatically be applied to the next mission. Everything seemed to be going well for him. This time around, Black Scythe looked at the fallen angel and realized that this was his last opportunity to clear the game. He was willing to do whatever it took to make himself stronger. After a few more moments, the first round of the mission finally ended. The total survivors among all regions were around 1 million, and those inside the zone of Black Scythe were around 2,000. The announcement revealed that they would now be transferred back to their original bodies in the other dimension, and the next mission would occur on February 1st. As Black Scythe woke up from his deep slumber, he grasped for air and looked around, initially thinking he had just slept in the middle of the city at the New Year Bell event. Confused, he realized it was not just a weird dream. Similar experiences occurred for everyone present in that area. Checking his phone, he saw that the same amount of time had passed in his dream as in reality. Youngman's friends also woke up, experiencing the same pain in their heads and bodies. They exchanged information, confirming that the same dream had happened to everyone. Panic set in as they tried to understand why this was happening. All they could conclude for now was that it was not just a dream. More and more people realized this fact and wondered if they would be sent to another dimension again on the first day of February. But as time passed, some of them noticed that the people around them were not waking up. One of Youngman's friends named Taeshik was not moving. Youngmin approached him and called his name, revealing Taeshik's pale and lifeless face. It became evident that Taeshik had died. Initially, they tried to deny the situation, but the harsh reality set in. Trembling, one of the group members informed the others that Taeshik was not breathing and had no pulse. Youngmin realized that their friend had died, and the conclusion arose that maybe he couldn't survive the mission against the goblins. The bald guy observed the area and noticed that there were still others who had not woken up. Panic spread among the group as they realized that many lying on the ground were now corpses. Fear enveloped them as they understood that only half of them had survived the onslaught. Youngmin trembled and sweated, finding the situation insane. It occurred to him that, regardless of their status in life, they were now bound to live equally. The game had eliminated the cry for humans to call life unfair. Youngmin attempted to calm his friends down, emphasizing the need to ensure their survival in each mission. He also added that what had happened was the same for all of them, so there was no need to feel unfair about it. His comments made his friends think of him as an insane individual. The bald guy sighed and told Youngmin that he had fulfilled his dream of being a thug, which was why he wasn't feeling anything. As for the others, they still had different things they wanted to do. However, Youngmin was preoccupied looking for someone in the crowd, and it turned out to be none other than Black Scythe. In his mind, he knew that Black Scythe, his shuttle boy, was just there standing near them, but right now, he was nowhere to be found. Youngmin concluded that maybe Black Scythe didn't survive the mission, assuming that he was too frail and weak to defeat goblins all by himself. Suddenly, something caught Youngmin's attention, a guy with weird equipment on his shoulder. Wondering about the strange attire, Youngmin used the status window, just like in the game, and it appeared in reality. This guy had reached level 5, with all of his stat points allocated towards strength. Youngmin couldn't believe they could access this feature outside the game. His friends also tried accessing theirs and had the same shock on their faces. To confirm that this ability applied in reality, Youngmin picked up a stone from the ground, clenched his fist, and crushed the sturdy rock. He was fascinated and felt like he was still dreaming, but after a few seconds, that fascination turned into something more grim as he exclaimed that it was just too awesome. After that, all the news outlets in Korea began covering the news about this unusual phenomenon. It was revealed that over 300,000 civilians suddenly lost consciousness simultaneously. A video clip depicted the arrival of Brielle in the city, capturing the moment when a man's head exploded in front of them. The angel extended her arms towards the civilians, and they suddenly fell asleep. Police reports confirmed that most of the collapsed civilians were within the age range of 20 to 30 years old. This phenomenon also occurred worldwide. People who were not involved in the game started panicking and questioning the events on social media. Some claimed it was fake or CGI, but one person knew that what was happening would change the world. The first mission was completed, and more significant events were set to unfold. Black Side believed this was just the beginning, anticipating that articles about deaths would continue to flow non-stop. Overnight, 1% of the world's population had died. As Black Side headed back home, he reflected on the real problem lying elsewhere. The survivors of this phenomenon were now referred to as players, and investigations were underway to determine the cause. The abilities of these players had been transferred into reality. Currently, it was a relief that no player had high enough stats to alter the world's reality. Ryumin's mind raced with thoughts of the bizarre events that unfolded during the night. The world around him seemed to have taken a surreal turn, and the images from the mission played vividly in his memory. The dark, looming figure of Brielle, the sudden deaths, and the awakening of new powers, they were all like scenes from a fantastical nightmare. As the brothers sat down for breakfast, the atmosphere in the room felt heavy with the weight of the unknown. Ryumin couldn't help but replay the events on the TV, the images of angels, goblins, and the mysterious zones lingering in his mind. The kitchen was filled with the aroma of boiling ramen, a stark reminder of the simple realities that persisted amidst the chaos. Ryumin's silver hair reflected the morning light as he stirred the noodles, his expression serious and contemplative. Youngmin, on the other hand, was still trying to process the unbelievable footage. With a sigh, Youngmin finally broke the silence. "This can't be real, right? Angels and goblins? Are we in some kind of sci-fi movie?" Ryumin, maintaining his composed demeanor, responded. "It's as real as it gets. We need to adapt and understand what's happening." The discussion continued, shifting between the events in the other dimension and their plans for the day. Ryumin insisted on the importance of leveling up and gaining strength, emphasizing the unpredictability of what lay ahead. Youngmin, while skeptical, couldn't deny the urgency in his brother's eyes. Amidst the uncertainty, the two brothers shared a meal, the taste of instant ramen mixing with the surreal flavor of the new reality they found themselves in. The apartment, once a haven of ordinary life, now harbored the weight of extraordinary circumstances. Ryumin listened attentively as Ryumin began to unravel the extraordinary events that had transpired overnight. The crowded streets, usually bustling with the mundane activities of daily life, now held an air of tension. Ryumin's eyes widened as he absorbed the details of the otherworldly mission, the zones, and the newfound powers that came with it. The brothers navigated through the city, the morning sunlight casting long shadows on the pavement. As Ryumin spoke, his silver hair swayed with each step, his expression a mix of determination and concern. He recounted the challenges faced in the mission, the dangers of the zones, and the urgency to grow stronger. Ryuan struggled to grasp the reality of his brother's words. Angels, goblins, and a game-like mission, it all sounded too surreal. Yet, the seriousness in Ryuman's eyes convinced him that this was their new reality. But why us? Why is this happening? Ryuan finally voiced his confusion. Ryuman sighed. I don't have all the answers. What matters now is that we adapt and survive. We're players in a game we never signed up for. The brothers continued their journey through the transformed cityscape, the remnants of the New Year's celebration contrasting sharply with the underlying chaos. Ryuman outlined their immediate goals, leveling up, acquiring skills, and preparing for the next mission. Ryuan, though still processing the unbelievable turn of events, nodded in understanding. He realized that their lives had taken an unexpected turn, and the responsibility to navigate this new world fell heavily on their shoulders. As they walked, the echoes of the mission's challenges lingered in the air, reminding them that the game had only just begun. Ryuman's eyes softened as he listened to his brother's concerns. The weight of responsibility, both as an older brother and now as a player in this inexplicable game, bore heavily on him. Despite the chaos and uncertainty, he couldn't afford to show vulnerability. He placed a reassuring hand on Ryuan's shoulder, acknowledging the unspoken bond between them. As they delved deeper into the city, the streets echoed with conversations about the mysterious events that had unfolded. The notion of angels and otherworldly beings felt surreal, yet the evidence was right there on their screens. Ryuan couldn't shake off the worry that clung to him like a shadow. Ryuman sensed his brother's anxiety and, in an attempt to lighten the mood, gestured toward a bustling cafe nearby. Let's grab something to eat, and I'll fill you in on the details. We've got a lot to cover. They entered the cafe, its atmosphere a stark contrast to the outside world. Sitting by the window, Ryuan listened intently as Ryuman explained the intricacies of the game, zones, missions, and the evolving threat posed by other players. Ryuman's silver hair caught the gentle light filtering through the cafe's windows, casting a silvery glow. He emphasized the importance of leveling up and acquiring skills to survive the upcoming challenges. The reality of their situation settled in, and Ryuan realized that the ordinary life they once knew had become a distant memory. As they concluded their meal, Ryuman's gaze met Ryuan's, conveying a silent understanding. The bond between the brothers, forged through shared hardships, would serve as their anchor in this unpredictable journey through a game that defied all logic. The cafe's door chimed as they stepped back into the transformed city, ready to face the challenges that awaited them. Ryuan's eyes widened at the revelation of their destination, Bang Taijaya's hideout. The air around them seemed to thicken with tension. He hesitated for a moment, grappling with the idea of stepping into the territory of the notorious head delinquent, whose name echoed through the halls of their school like a harbinger of trouble. Despite the doubts clouding Ryuan's mind, Ryuman pressed forward with determination. He explained that Bang Taijaya was not only a formidable figure in the game, but also someone they needed to recruit for a greater purpose. There was a gravity to Ryuman's words, hinting at a larger plan that extended beyond the immediate challenges of the game. As they approached the outskirts of the hideout, Ryuan's steps became more hesitant. He couldn't shake off the unease, wondering how they would be received in such a place. Ryuman, with a resolute expression, assured his younger brother that everything would be explained soon. The entrance to Bang Taijaya's hideout loomed ahead, a threshold to a world Ryuan had only heard about in whispers. The echoes of footsteps and muffled conversations emanated from within, creating an ominous aura. Ryuman, undeterred by the foreboding atmosphere, led the way. The hideout's interior revealed a labyrinth of corridors, dimly lit and filled with an eclectic mix of individuals. The scent of cigarettes hung in the air, adding to the gritty ambience. As they navigated through the maze, Ryuin's senses heightened, acutely aware of the unfamiliar environment. Finally, they reached a room where Bangtai Jiayu, a figure of imposing stature, was seated. The air crackled with tension as they entered, and Ryuin couldn't help but wonder how their encounter with the head delinquent would unfold. So what do you guys think will happen in next chapter? Will Black Scythe take revenge for his brother? Comment down below. See you in the next episode.